What just happened at the Stellar Gospel Music Awards 2025 has everyone talking. Jamal Roberts and Jonathan McReynolds took the stage in a way that shocked the audience, set social media on fire, and left fans questioning whether this was the boldest performance of the night or the most controversial moment in gospel music this year. Stay tuned, because what went down is bigger than just a duet. And trust me, you won't believe the ripple effects it's already causing in the industry. The Stellar Gospel Music Awards has always been more than just a celebration of talent. It's the one night where gospel music collides with culture, faith, and raw performance power, creating moments that echo far beyond the stage. Every year, we expect greatness. But every now and then, something happens that completely flips the script. This year in 2025, that unexpected moment came when Jamal Roberts and Jonathan McReynolds joined forces on stage. Now, for those who don't know, Jamal Roberts has been on the rise, quickly building a name for himself with his unique style, authenticity, and fearless approach to gospel. On the other hand, Jonathan McReynolds is no stranger to the spotlight. He's a Stellar Award veteran known for his soulful vocals and thought-provoking lyrics that often blur the line between traditional gospel and contemporary artistry. When these two came together, nobody could have predicted the energy, the reaction, or the controversy that followed. The performance didn't just get applause. It sparked conversations, debates, and yes, even backlash. Some fans are calling it a groundbreaking collaboration that will push gospel music into a new era, while others are raising red flags, suggesting the performance may have crossed boundaries, challenged traditions, or stirred up tension within the gospel community. And here's where it gets really interesting. Behind the lights, the cameras, and the cheers, there are deeper layers to this story. What was really happening on stage? Why did this performance stand out so dramatically from the rest of the night? And what does it mean for the future of both Jamal Roberts and Jonathan McReynolds in the gospel industry? Today, we're breaking it all down. From the history of these two artists to the exact moment the performance turned heads to the hidden messages and reactions you probably missed if you were only watching casually. Stick with me until the end, because this is more than just a performance recap. This is a story about how one moment at the Stellas may have changed gospel music forever. To truly understand the impact of Jamal Roberts' collaboration with Jonathan McReynolds at the Stellar Gospel Music Awards 2025, we need to first understand who Jamal Roberts is and why his presence on that stage was such a defining moment. Jamal Roberts isn't just another newcomer trying to break into the gospel industry. He represents a new wave of gospel artists who blend raw authenticity, cultural relevance, and a bold willingness to speak truth even when it challenges tradition. Born and raised in the church, Jamal's roots in gospel run deep. He grew up in a family where faith and music weren't just part of life, they were life. His earliest memories included singing in youth choirs, watching seasoned gospel musicians light up services, and learning that music could move people not just emotionally, but spiritually. Unlike many artists who slowly rise through years of background singing, Jamal carved his own lane through powerful viral performances and independent releases that caught the attention of both young audiences and industry insiders. Social media became his platform, and before long his live sessions on Instagram and YouTube began to circulate widely. What stood out wasn't just his voice, it was his message. Jamal's lyrics often speak to real-world struggles, identity, faith in hard times, cultural issues, and even the silent battles people fight when the world isn't watching. By 2023, Jamal was already being called one of gospel music's rising stars. His EPs gained traction, his collaborations hinted at something bigger, and his performances at smaller gospel showcases proved he wasn't just hype. He was the real deal. And by 2025, his name wasn't just whispered among gospel fans. It was highlighted as one of the voices set to carry gospel into its next era. But here's the key part. Jamal Roberts represents a generation that refuses to separate faith from transparency. While traditional gospel has often focused on worship and praise, Jamal has no problem blending honesty about struggle, questions of faith, and cultural commentary into his music. That's part of why he resonates so deeply with younger audiences. They see themselves in him. They hear not just a polished voice, but a real person who isn't afraid to break the mold. And yet, with that boldness comes controversy. Some traditionalists in the gospel world have raised concerns questioning whether Jamal's style, delivery, or subject matter fits within the box gospel music has historically lived in. They see him as pushing boundaries too far, blurring the line between gospel and contemporary genres like R&B or soul. But others argue that this is exactly what gospel needs right now, a fresh, relevant voice that bridges the gap between the church and the culture. So when Jamal Roberts stepped onto the Stellar Awards stage this year, it wasn't just another artist singing another song. It was a moment loaded with meaning. It was a sign that the industry itself recognized his influence, his momentum, and his ability to shape where gospel music goes next. But of course, what made that moment even more powerful and more controversial was who he shared it with, Jonathan McReynolds. If Jamal Roberts represents the bold, up-and-coming future of gospel, then Jonathan McReynolds is the trusted voice of the present. And when these two shared the stage at the Stellar Gospel Music Awards 2025, it wasn't just a duet. It was a generational handshake, one that signaled a shift in the culture of gospel music itself. Jonathan McReynolds is no stranger to the Stellar Awards stage. By now, his name carries weight not just in gospel circles, but in the wider Christian and even mainstream music landscape. Born in Chicago, Jonathan grew up in a city known for producing powerhouse gospel talent. He didn't just stumble into the spotlight. He carefully built a career that fused theological depth with artistry, intellect with soul, and vulnerability with conviction. Since releasing his debut album, Life Music, back in 2012, Jonathan has consistently proven himself to be one of gospel's most thoughtful storytellers. Unlike some artists who rely heavily on vocal acrobatics or flashy arrangements, Jonathan built his reputation on simplicity and sincerity. His lyrics often sound like journal entries, personal, raw, and unpolished in the best way. Songs like No Gray, Make Room, and People Don't Just Entertain. They force listeners to reflect on their faith, their struggles, and their humanity. And yet, Jonathan is not without controversy. His style has sometimes been accused of being too contemporary or too laid-back for traditional gospel audiences. While older generations are used to the explosive choirs, organ riffs, and soaring vocal runs that defined gospel's golden age, Jonathan's acoustic guitar and singer-songwriter vibes sometimes feel like a departure. Critics have occasionally questioned whether he waters down the gospel for broader appeal, but his supporters argue the opposite, that he brings gospel to places it wouldn't normally reach, touching audiences who may never step foot in a church, but still find themselves ministered to through his music. Over the years, Jonathan has managed to balance these criticisms with grace. His ability to stay true to his own artistry, while also gaining recognition from both the church and the mainstream industry, has made him a bridge figure. He's performed at the Grammy Awards, appeared on national television, collaborated with artists outside gospel, and still kept his seat at the Stellar Awards table. That balance is rare, and it's exactly why his partnership with Jamal Roberts this year hit so differently. Think about it this way. Jamal Roberts is seen as the daring newcomer, the one pushing boundaries, raising eyebrows, and challenging tradition. Jonathan McReynolds, meanwhile, is the thoughtful veteran, the one whose credibility comes not just from his awards, but from the respect he commands across generations. When these two stand together, the symbolism is undeniable. It's not just a performance, it's a statement. And here's where the controversy deepens. Some within the gospel industry questioned whether Jonathan, who has often carried himself as a careful, intentional artist, should align himself with someone as unpredictable and bold as Jamal Roberts. Was he lending his credibility to a younger artist who hasn't yet proven himself fully? Or was he endorsing the idea that gospel must evolve and embrace the next wave of creativity, even if it risks backlash? This is why their Stellar Awards performance mattered so much. Jonathan's presence didn't just validate Jamal, it amplified him. It told audiences both in the room and watching around the world that Jamal Roberts isn't just a rising star. He's someone the gospel establishment has to take seriously. And yet, what made this performance unforgettable wasn't just who was on stage. It was what happened once the music started, the choices they made, the energy they brought, and the reactions that followed. The night was already electric at the Stellar Gospel Music Awards 2025. The audience had been buzzing with anticipation for performances from seasoned veterans and rising stars alike. But when the announcer called Jamal Roberts and Jonathan McReynolds to the stage, the atmosphere shifted. It wasn't just another performance slot. It felt like something monumental was about to happen. The lights dimmed, and the stage fell into silence. Slowly, a single spotlight illuminated Jonathan McReynolds. Seated with his guitar, he began strumming a haunting progression, gentle, understated, but filled with emotion. The audience immediately recognized that signature Jonathan style, intimate, raw, and reflective. His voice carried across the room as he opened with the first verse, pulling everyone into a worshipful, contemplative moment. But then, halfway through the verse, Jamal Roberts entered. Not with subtlety, but with presence. He didn't tiptoe onto the stage. He commanded it.